Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We have talked at length about this Nebraska defense over the last couple of months. And as I continue to work through the film of this Nebraska defense, one of the guys that really stands out is Isaac Gifford, in the sense that he impacts this defense in so many different ways. And you start having that conversation of most valuable defender for that Nebraska team. Obviously, guys like Ty Robinson, Nash up front, certainly high impact guys. Isaac Gifford has a very strong argument to being the most valuable player on this Nebraska defense. He does so many different things for this Nebraska defense. And you really saw Tony White. I think this is what makes Tony White such an excellent defensive coordinator, is he looked at Isaac Gifford, said, hey, what do you do really well? We're going to put you in those spots to really be a successful player in this Nebraska defense. Want to get into the film of Isaac Gifford, talk a little bit about what he brings to this Nebraska defense before we get into it. And as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. A massive shout out to the Nebraska fans. Many of y'all know not many programs I love talking about more than this Nebraska program, and the amount of support the Nebraska fans continue to show to the boys truly does mean a lot. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. It's been a blast working through some of these guys in the offseason. And without further ado, let's get into Isaac Gifford. And I first want to start with, Isaac Gifford being the ultimate chess piece in this defense. This is a guy that you take a look at his alignments from last year: 280 snaps as a box defender, 139 as that slot nickel role, 257 as a free safety. When Tony White was brought in to take over this Nebraska defense, we said that versatility and the ability to give different looks was kind of the ultimatum, or kind of the main objective for Tony White in this defense. And a guy like Isaac Gifford, who can do so many different things for this Nebraska defense, really allowed Tony White to give a lot of different looks, right? You can put him in as kind of that box safety. You can put him as a single high free safety. You can blitz him off the edge. Isaac Gifford was a guy that led the team in run stops, also led the team in forced incompletions. You don't see that from a lot of players. He did that for this Nebraska defense. 12% missed tackle rate, a guy that can make it happen in space as a tackler as well. Want to dive into the film and kind of talk about the different elements that Isaac Gifford brings to this Nebraska defense. And I want to start with his ability to stop the run, but specifically from all different levels of the football field. I think one of the bigger concerns of this Tony White defense coming into the Big Ten was, this 3-3-5, are we going to be able to stop the run against some of these run-heavy Big Ten teams? What we said in the beginning of the season, heading into 2023, was when you're running that 3-3-5, you have to have your defensive backs come up and tackle, right? That 3-3-5, you're essentially taking off a defensive lineman, putting another defensive back on the field. Those defensive backs have to come downhill and they have to tackle at a high level. Isaac Gifford was probably the best defender in terms of coming downhill and playing a role in the run game. You dive into the film, so many different ways that Isaac Gifford made it happen against the run. You take a look at Illinois, Isaac Gifford kind of playing that free safety role. You're going to see him creep into the box pre-snap. Two things that I love about this play. One, the instincts that Isaac Gifford has. This is a guy that has played a ton of football, knows how to diagnose what's happening in front of him. But secondly, the ability to attack the line of scrimmage from that safety spot. You see Isaiah Williams come in motion here. Isaac Gifford sees it, creeps up into the box. When he sees that ball go to Isaiah Williams, he's crashing down extremely hard, working through traffic, and making a massive tackle for a loss. This is a guy that led this Nebraska team in run stops last year from that safety position. Isaac Gifford coming downhill, attacking the line of scrimmage. This is, you see this all year for Isaac Gifford. This kind of highlights what he can do as kind of that free safety. But you're going to see Tony White get really creative in terms of how he uses Isaac Gifford. You take a look at this play against Northwestern. We're going to put Isaac Gifford on the line of scrimmage, kind of showing that blitz off the end. And what's he able to do in this play is he's able to kind of chase down this play from the backside again. One of the reasons I love Isaac Gifford, he plays with a high motor. You're seeing this guy pursue the football at 110% every single time. That's kind of what makes Isaac Gifford special, in the ability to kind of be a box defender off the line of scrimmage, come down, hawk this play down from the backside. You see Tony White get Isaac Gifford involved in a lot of different ways. And you see Isaac Gifford, be a very good run defender for that 3-3-5 defense. And again, you need guys that are willing to fire downhill, play fast, and kind of swarm to the football. Isaac Gifford certainly brings that to Nebraska. Now, we all knew Isaac Gifford would probably fit this role pretty well in this Tony White defense. What I was really pleasantly surprised with is how Isaac Gifford was able to be in coverage as well. This was a guy that, you had kind of some question marks about his athleticism working against tight ends or slot wide receivers in coverage. Isaac Gifford led this Nebraska team in forced incompletions, a 57% completion percentage when targeted in coverage. Isaac Gifford not only providing tremendous value in the run game, leading this Nebraska defense in run stops, was also extremely good in coverage, both in zone and in man. You look at Isaac Gifford, 2 reps I want to talk about against Illinois, where they ask Isaac Gifford to kind of play that nickel role where you're man coverage with a tight end or a slot receiver. In this case, it's a tight end. 2 things that stand out. One, when tight ends are kind of flexed out, they want to use that physicality against opposing defensive backs. Isaac Gifford is big enough and plays strong enough to deal with that physicality of tight ends working the middle of the field. You fire up this piece of film, again, man coverage. You see this tight end's going to want to have to draw some coverage. Isaac Gifford plays strong, gets his hand in there, knocks the football away. Very similar rep a couple plays later. Isaac Gifford again asked to be in man coverage in that slot, and you're going to see him again be in the hip pocket of this tight end that's kind of flexed out and get his hand on a football. Isaac Gifford was tremendous in man coverage for this Nebraska defense, and it kind of goes back to the goal of Tony White. I want to be able to play man coverage. I want to be able to play zone coverage. I want to be able to blitz. I want to be able to drop 8. All of those things, you need a guy like Isaac Gifford to be good in man coverage, to be good in zone coverage. Now, we just saw him in man coverage do a very good job against those bigger tight ends. You're also going to see Isaac Gifford be very successful kind of playing that underneath zone coverage as well. You saw Nebraska really mix up the kind of zones that they played. They asked Isaac Gifford to kind of play that underneath coverage, and he did it at a phenomenal level. Again, goes back to the experience that Isaac Gifford has. He has a very good feel for the routes that are developing in front of him and behind him, and a very good feel for reading the eyes of the quarterback. You go to this Illinois game again, and you saw this was kind of, in my mind, the best piece of film that Isaac Gifford put out. He was phenomenal against Illinois. They walk Isaac Gifford up, kind of playing that underneath zone coverage. And what does he do when Luke Altmaier, 4th and 2, game on the line? He's reading the quarterback's eyes. He's knowing what's going on in front of him and behind him. And you're going to see him break on this football, in zone coverage, step up, make a play on 4th down, get the team off the field. Isaac Gifford, so many different ways that he impacted this Nebraska defense. He plays extremely hard in the run game. He took massive strides in coverage as well. And again, it goes back to what Tony White wants to do. He needs his guys to be versatile. Isaac Gifford was the definition of that chess piece versatility that Tony White was looking for. And again, year 2 in Tony White's defense, I think Isaac Gifford poised to have a phenomenal year, especially as Tony White and Isaac Gifford get kind of on the same page in terms of what Isaac Gifford's very good at. Tony White's going to continue to put him in those spots to be successful. And you kind of take a look at this Nebraska defense and how it's shaking out. That's probably one of my, obviously the quarterback situation is something I'm very intrigued with in spring practice, but kind of how they deal with some of these guys that have a lot of position versatility is also very interesting, right? You have Isaac Gifford kind of playing that rover position, can do a lot of different things. I think that allows you to get your best players on the field, because you look at this Nebraska team, I wouldn't be surprised if Isaac Gifford kind of plays some off-ball linebacker at times, because you look at Nebraska, they're probably a little thin in that off-ball linebacker room, but you want to get those defensive backs on the field. This is one of the better secondaries that you see in the country. Not only does Isaac Gifford provide you a lot of different things that he can do on defense, he also allows you to get a lot of different guys on the football field because of how versatile he can be, right? If you want to get a third safety on the field, you can kick Isaac Gifford down into the box. If you want to get another edge rusher on the field, you can kind of play Isaac Gifford as that free safety. You can do a lot of different things. It opens up a lot of different possibilities for the personnel groupings. Another guy I want to talk about real quick, who I kind of think is a very similar conversation, just kind of in that front seven as opposed to the back end of that defense, is Stefan Thompson coming from Syracuse. One of the positions that we have some question marks about is that off-ball linebacker spot. You dig into the film of Stefan Thompson. We might do a film deep dive on him a little bit later. Stefan Thompson is another guy that, I mean, Tony White can look at this defense, can say, all right, we want to get these kind of guys on the field. You can play Stefan Thompson as that jack edge rusher. Stefan Thompson also put some really good film out as an off-ball linebacker as well. So when you start talking about those third and long situations or those third and short situations, you can get really creative with guys like Isaac Gifford and like Stefan Thompson. And it allows you not only to do a lot of different things with those particular players, but it also allows you to get some certain players on the field that you want to get on the field and kind of different player packages and personnel packages that you want. Having guys like Isaac Gifford, having guys like Stefan Thompson, it opens up so many different possibilities for Tony White to run this defense. Isaac Gifford, one of my favorite players, not only on Nebraska, but in the country. Massive breakout year for him. Wanted to do a little film deep dive. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.